Hello there, and welcome back to the Disconnected. I recently got in the September bundle from Imprint Films in order to review, and it turned out that it was a very strong month for me, and I want to share my thoughts on those with you now. Let's dive right in. All right, first up for the September bundle is the movie The Road Home by Zhang Yimou. This is a film that is really stylishly directed, really great story. The synopsis for this one says, upon the death of his father, city businessman Lu Yusheng returns to his home village to arrange the funeral. Lu's elderly mother is insistent that all of the traditional customs be observed, despite the reservations the village mayor has about the expense and practicalities of this. Her extreme obstinacy in the matter causes Lou to think back to childhood memories of the stories he heard told of his parents' courtship. A romance that captured the attention of the entire village. In a flashback, their remarkable story of love and loyalty is told. And one of the best things about this is the cinematography. It is done in such a beautiful way. For anybody that has seen a Zhang Yimou film, it is quite obvious that they are just a remarkable director. This is one that anybody that enjoys any type of romantic stories is really going to like, and it's done in a unique way that I don't want to spoil. If you can get your hands on this one, highly recommend it. This is a great film. The next film in the bundle is a little known filmmaker named Akira Kurosawa's Dersu Uzala. And this film says Dersu, an eccentric Mongolian frontiersman, is taken on as a guide by a Russian surveying crew. While the soldiers at first perceive him as a naive and comical relic of an uncivilized age, Dersu quickly proves himself otherwise, becoming their unlikely savior. Now, the best thing about this release, in my opinion, is that it is absolutely stacked with special features. We have an audio commentary by Stuart Galbraith IV, who is a Japanese film expert. We have a history of Dersu Uzala with film writer and historian Michael Brook, which is a really unique contextual piece that I highly recommend everybody that gets this disc to watch. Sound of the Taiga, video essay by music historian David Schechter on the score. And I got to admit, the score is one of the most compelling pieces about this. You'll hear in the first couple minutes that this score is a little light in a lot of places because there's just a lot of nature sounds by nature of how it was filmed. But the craziest thing is that the guy that wrote the score pretty much improvised it in a matter of a few days. It is a remarkable story. The actor Yuri Solomon, who is I believe he was Russian, gives a few interviews here on how either the film was made, on working with Akira Kurosawa, on the writer of the film. There's a few things in there that are nuggets, but it's all just the same person, so it's can get a little samey. But either way, it's nice to have that contextual piece. I understand this is from 1975. A lot of the people involved in this are not alive anymore because they were fairly old at the time that this was made. Then we have a making of the film. They list this as a short documentary, and they are telling the truth. It was only about 5 minutes long, but either way, it's a nice little piece to have in here. And then on top of that, there's about a minute-long archival piece of the real Vladimir Arsenev. It's interesting to see that archival piece thrown in here, and it's nice to just make this a complete package. And for fans of Akira Kurosawa that want the entire filmography, this is a must-have. I can understand why some people may not love this. I will say that this is one of the coldest films I've seen in quite some time. The cinematography is very like stark in a lot of places. There's one scene in particular about the exact middle of the film that was set on like plains, very flat land, and it's just astonishingly cold. And they are pulling up grass to be able to sleep in it so that they don't freeze to death. And it is remarkably well done to show exactly how cold it was. All right, for the September package, the rest of these, in my opinion, are must-owns, basically. This first one is primarily because of the William Friedkin of it all, but that is Blue Chips. We got Nick Nolte, we got Shaq. We have a very interesting movie that is used in context with sports history that is really kind of important. And when you are embroiled in the sort of scandals that happened in the 80s and 90s in college sports, this is a very important film. And then, not to mention, it's William Friedkin. So it's very well made. It's something that you can tell took just a lot of great work. For those that have never seen this or are not familiar with the scandals of the 80s and 90s in college sports, the synopsis for this says a collegiate basketball coach is under pressure to get his team back on top. Seeing no other way, he decides to attract the nation's top up and coming talent, blue chips, the only way he knows how. Special features on this disc are surprisingly really good. We got an audio commentary by film critic Bill Jabiri. We've got an interview with the editor Robert K. Lambert, which was, in my opinion, the highlight of this entire disc. Hearing him talk about his time with William Friedkin is so rewarding and just really makes me want to be in my shoes back in this like classic time of seeing Friedkin come from his earlier days into really just mastering his craft. Then we have the DP Tom Priestley Jr. on filming Blue Chips. And then one that's really interesting here. We got an interview called "We Don't Buy Athletes: Illegal Recruiting and the NCAA," and this is done with a sports journalist named Ben Strauss. And it's pretty short, like 8 or 10 minutes, and it really talks about the illegal recruiting surrounding the NCAA, and it is done in a nice modern contextual way, looking back on the scandals, and is just kind of a perfect companion piece for a film like this. Next up is the film Harem with Ben Kingsley and Nastasia Kinski. This movie says the kidnapped victim of a prince finds herself brutally plunged into the heart of a harem where a strange duel starts between the two lovers, a duel that will unfold simultaneously with the slow death of the last of the harems. This movie is not always an easy watch, but Imprint does really well here to deliver a really nice package for us. The movie looks great. I know that there's been some questions about some of the transfers coming out of Paramount recently, and this entire month, honestly, was a solid month for transfers. On this one, we get an audio commentary by Scott Harrison, which was decent, contextual, nice, not too dry. But the real winner on this disc for me is a video essay by somebody I'm a big fan of, and that is Kat Ellinger. And this is an essay on the 70s and 80s cinema of Nastasia Kinski. And for somebody like her, there is so much that you can dive into with the different types of films that she made. And Kat Ellinger just really goes into showing how much talent this person had and what she went through. It's, again, one of those contextual essays that dives in and makes you appreciate the film and the performance specifically that much more. Next up is the remake of Lolita by Adrian Lyne. This is from 1997, starring Jeremy Irons, Melanie Griffith, and Frank Langella. Jeremy Irons on this film, ridiculously good. He, first of all, looks great. Just magnetic. Really, really interesting character that he portrays here. Just for those that have not seen it, respectable school teacher Humbert marries his landlady so that he can get closer to her young daughter, Lolita, with whom he is madly in love. Humbert's unfulfilled desire for the girl brings him to the edge of insanity and threatens to destroy the object of his obsession. Now, this movie's not easy to watch necessarily. There's a lot of really awkward and tense scenes. The age difference of it all is pretty intense, but it's a really well-crafted movie. There's a lot on this disc as well. We got 2 audio commentaries, one with the director Adrian Lyne, one by film critic Josh Nelson. The Josh Nelson commentary is surprisingly great. There's an interview with cinematographer Howard Atherton, and it was good. It wasn't anything that was amazing or absolutely important to listen to, in my opinion. However, the next thing on the disc absolutely is, and got to go back to Kat Ellinger again. This one is called The Seduction of Humbert, Adrian Lyne's American Beauty, Lolita. And Kat, again, just gives great context to a film like this, great important information about the character and why it was done in this way. This movie is one that is going to piss a lot of people off, potentially. And I didn't know a whole lot about the reception of the film, but undoubtedly, this is one that people looked at with a little bit of scorn. There's also a little casting session with Jeremy Irons and Dominique Swain. There's an on-the-set vintage featurette, and then we got some deleted scenes. But again, great release from Imprint, and maybe the most important thing on here is that Kat Ellinger essay. She's just incredible at what she does. And the release of the month is this beautiful hardbox release of Barfly from Imprint. Of course, this has the top-loading hardbox, just like all of their releases that come out like this. We've got two cases on the inside. The first one is for the film itself, Barfly, with Mickey Rourke and Faye Dunaway. The second is for the Charles Bukowski tapes. Charles Bukowski is the writer of the film Barfly. Barfly, for those that have never seen it, is a canon film from 1987, and it says downtrodden writer Henry and distressed goddess Wanda aren't exactly husband and wife. They're wedded to their bar stools, but they like each other's company, and Barfly captures their giddy, gin-soaked attempts to make a go of life on the skids. And the skids is absolutely true. There is so many just not great situations in this film that they place themselves in. The disc itself, we got an audio commentary by Barbette Schroeder. We got an audio commentary by Kim Cooper and Richard Shave of Esoteric Tours in LA, historians and preservationists from this year. And that was the winning piece for me on this disc. That commentary, they are all over, just sharing how these locations are either open or closed, where they're at in LA, and just because of their familiarity with everything in this film and everything in Los Angeles, they give the most remarkable sort of context for a physical context of the film that I've seen for a film like this in quite some time. We got an interview with some of the actors and actresses. We got an interview with the production designer, Bob Zembecki. And then I Drink, I Gamble, I Write, The Making of Barfly, which is a vintage featurette. But then we have the second disc in here, which is the Charles Bukowski tapes. And for anybody that's wanting to dive in, it is 4 solid hours of everything Charles Bukowski. And the way they describe it here, when Barbette Schroeder began work on the movie Barfly, he had no idea that it would be such a struggle. During the 7 years it took him to complete the film, he turned his camera on its screenwriter, poet, and novelist Charles Bukowski, leading to this 4-hour study of the man and the music of his words. So again, Barfly, great. It is basically a really artistic canon film, and if that sounds like it's something you'd like, you would probably really enjoy this release like I did. Imprint had an incredible month, capped off by something amazing like Barfly. And when they have a month with an Akira Kurosawa film and this takes the cake, it really shows just the amount of quality that goes into some of their releases. Highly recommend picking up some of these if they are still out there and available for you. Orbit DVD's been carrying these, Grindhouse Video, Diabolic DVD. They all are a great place to pick up Imprint films and a lot cheaper for those of us in the States looking to pick them up. Thanks for watching, and from one collector to all of you, have a good night.